It's no secret that I want a cave update in Ponytown. The caves, or the mines, whatever you want to call them, have been the same ever since they were added in Ponytown. I mean, they literally have not changed at all, save for a couple of items being moved, or a couple of items being removed completely. Or maybe a couple of items added. They kind of technically updated the bats, which technically updated the caves, and there's been technicality updates to the caves, but realistically, there's never been a cave update since they were added. So the question is, why hasn't this happened yet? And I'm really not sure. I guess the developers themselves are probably okay with how the caves are right now. Maybe they just don't care at all about the caves for whatever reason. Maybe they're satisfied with how they are and they just think it's a completed thing, just like with the bakery. I mean, it's probably us asking for a cave update is probably the equivalent of them thinking we're asking for like a bakery update or something. Like the bakery is going to be the same forever. There's not going to be a bakery expansion. I mean, maybe there could be because we have the like weird door that doesn't lead anywhere kind of thing. So technically they could do that if they wanted to, but either way, a cave update is long overdue, or at the very least, we're overdue for the item decor on the party island. We still don't have the stalactites, we still don't have some of the other rock items that are in the caves, and we still don't have the like rock tiles, the rock floor tiles or whatever you call them. I know it's technically like a grass version of it or something like that, but we should still be able to have that. They need to work around it and get us those things, because right now we still don't have them. For some reason, they gave us a lot of other cave decor stuff in terms of the crystals, but we still haven't gotten all the cave decor, so that is definitely number one on this list, that we need the cave decor to the party island. If nothing else, if you're not going to give us the actual like cave update that we've been asking for, at the very least give us the rest of the cave decor items like the stalactites, or maybe even new cave decor items or something. At the very least, do that, and I will shut up for a little bit in terms of the cave update stuff. A whole other side of this list of ideas for the caves that I think Ponytown should take a listen to. Just listen to it, because I think these ideas here would improve the caves so much that people would actually go to the caves for more reason than to be alone, because that's pretty much the only reason to go to the caves right now, is to be alone, because no one's ever in the caves. But I digress. The number one thing on here on my list, this is in no particular order, it's just in the order that I thought of them. I think it could be fun if the cave could be accessible from your island or from, back and forth. So if I'm in the cave, I think it could be an excellent idea for us to be able to access our party island from the cave. I'm not really sure how you could go about doing this without it looking a little bit weird. It would probably be pretty hard to work around a way to actually make it get to the cave instead of to the docks. But when it comes to the cave, it's really easy, because when you go into this teleporter, basically, it's not actually technically a teleporter, but it's like a path, and you go in and it teleports you to your island. That could technically teleport you to the docks or to wherever your boat is on your party island, because it doesn't necessarily matter. But when it comes to leaving the party island to get to the cave, it kind of does matter, and for that reason I think we need like a new item, like a new cave or like a new hole item or something that we can jump into the hole and it will teleport us to our cave. Or something to that effect. I think that could be an excellent addition to the game. It could be a fun way to get to other places on the map much faster, because right now, if you're on the party island, the only place it teleports you to, of course, is the docks, and if you're trying to get to the opposite side of the map, it's going to take much longer to get there, and maybe the Ponytown wants that, and that's fine, but I think it could be a fun addition there. People would go through the caves a lot just to get to their island if they don't want to go all the way across the map to get to the docks or something. So you could get more traffic through the caves by doing this specific thing. Now, secondly, we need to expand the caves. We need to expand. There is a lot of ways we can expand the caves. We could throw in, for example, they have like the ice maze right now in winter. So why not throw in some kind of cave-like maze in the caves? I think this could work. It could be there year round. You could update it like every other season or so, or every year you could update it or something like that. And it could just be a small thing that doesn't take too long to set up, and it's just there, and it can keep people happy or busy for a while, and of course bring reason for people to go to the caves. So that's one thing that you could do when you're throwing in extra expansions to the caves or whatever else like that. But of course you could do a lot of other things, like a catacomb situation. You could have just a bigger area, because like right now it's kind of just Realistically, the caves kind of just look more like mines than they do caves, but they're technically caves, which I guess fine, sure enough, they are mining in this cave, so it makes sense. But I've always saw the caves as this situation where the Ponytown townsfolk were mining for crystals or emeralds or some other treasure, something like that, right? And then they broke open a wall, and there was this huge elaborate cave on the other side of the wall, and it was filled with crystals and these magical looking rocks and stuff, and they were like, oh shit, that's crazy, let's start collecting those. And they started collecting those instead. That's always been kind of the lore that I've gathered from the caves. Play off of that a little bit more, make that section of the cave much bigger, make it more magical and creative and stuff, or at the very least have the actual mining operation be a little bit larger perhaps. There's so much you can do with an expansion to the caves. It's crazy, and I don't know why they haven't touched it yet, but they really need to expand. Now, I've mentioned this next one in a video before where I talked about where they could expand the map in the future, and I mentioned that if they expanded the map southward, in the bottom right corner of the map, they could have a water cave that if you enter would bring you to the actual cave map, and there could be like flooded kind of cave area there and stuff, and it's just like you go out, like half of that cave area right there is like a beach or something. It could be an awesome addition to the game. I think it could also be helpful to get to the top of the map much quicker if you're at the bottom. So if you're at the bottom of the map, instead of taking the docks to get to the docks, you could take that cave entrance and teleport into the cave and get to the cave from a quicker path or something. That could be fun. It could just be an awesome situation that way. I think it would look amazing. I mean, the underwater caves, like if you look up like caves by the beach or like water caves or something like that on Google, there's so many cool images for inspiration and stuff like that. It's insane, and I think they look awesome, and I think it should be in the game, especially since the bottom right corner of the map is kind of like no reason to go there right now. That could give us a good reason to go there, besides, you know, there's a couple hangout spots there or whatever. But I think it could look really cool, especially since you have ruins not too far from there. It could even add some lore to that. Now, the next thing too, and again, I mentioned this other thing in that same video, but the weird stone wall area right above the tents, the camping area, is just empty almost all year round. There's another one that's like empty all year round over on the far left corner of the map, which is kind of weird that they're almost in opposite corners, right? But either way, those two spots are basically empty almost all year round. They don't really do much with them. They kind of add a couple of decorations during different holidays and stuff, but even when they do add the decorations, it's mostly empty. And so why not take that spot and update it? This is going to sound weird because it's not going to sound like it's cave related at first, but I think it should be turned into a graveyard. I think you could have a graveyard there, you could have a crypt or something to that effect there, and then you can go into that crypt and it would lead you to the caves. And that section of the cave that it teleports you to could be like a catacomb-esque area where there's like skulls in the walls and like coffins and stuff like that. Just like a catacomb-esque situation where you go into the crypt, you're in the catacombs in the cave, and then you can go from there to the other sections of the map. It's probably kind of clear by now, but I think the caves could be used as a good fast travel system for different parts of the map. Ashes Town did something very similar to this when they added the sewer system. In the sewer system in Ashes Town, you can go into a manhole, and then you can walk about 10 feet over to the left or something like that, go up another manhole, and you're very far across the map. It's almost like going to the Nether and doing like a small travel to go long distances or whatever. So I think Ponytown could do something very similar to that with the caves, because the caves could be this elaborate cave system that's like scattered throughout the town or something like that, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be like there's like a manhole in the floor somewhere or like a hole in the ground somewhere on a random part of the map. You can be very creative and fun with it, which is something I wish Ashes Town would have done, but I think the sewer system is fine. But you could have like the crypt in the graveyard as a means of fast travel. You go in that's a version of your manhole. It's just you go in there, you're in the caves, you can travel a little bit and then come out at a different part of the map without having to walk the whole map distance. Additionally, the water cave is the same thing, the one by the beach in the bottom right corner of the map. You could have it go in there and pop out at the crypt or pop out or where the cave entrance is currently. You could even put that crypt in the top leftish area or whatever instead. You could put it basically wherever you want to, and it would be great. I just think the stone wall areas are great because, well, you turn them into graveyards during Halloween anyway. Why not just have a graveyard year-round? Because graveyards exist year-round. But I digress. Secondly, or sorry, I'm quite far in this now. I don't even know where I'm at on my list. But anyway, treasure. I think treasure would be an awesome addition to the game. I think it only makes sense to have treasure in the game. This could be like you go into the caves, there's sections where you can dig up treasure. Perhaps there's a treasure chest and you can grab coins from it or something like that. Adding coin items, which people, again, I think have wanted for a really long time. Obviously, it's not going to be like a real currency like Ashes Town has, or I think some other servers have currency and stuff like that. I really don't think currency belongs in Ponytown, but I definitely think we need the currency item itself. I think we need the gold bits, the silver bits, the bronze bits, or whatever. I think we need those. Diamonds, other emeralds, treasures, rubies, etc. I think we could have all of those items be added to the caves, or at least to some effect of that. And you could put them at different points in the cave that can just spawn naturally, like how 4-leaf clovers do or something like that. It could just be a spot that you just, if you follow a map that's on the wall or something like that, it's like an X marks the spot or something, and you can find it. There could be a fun game involved in it where it's different for every player. So some players will find them in different places than other players. So you get a map somehow or something like that. Maybe you walk up to an item like the map that's on the wall right now in the caves. Maybe you walk up to it, you click on it, and it gives you a map, and you can open it up, and it's like, hey, here's X marks the spot, and you have to figure out where that X is in comparison to the cave, or maybe even just the whole map as a whole. And then you go to that spot and you can pick up your treasure, your special treasure, or whatever else like that. And it can also inflate an artificial number that no one really cares about, or maybe there's can be some more tie-ins to it with other stuff or something. But the point is, treasure would be a fun reason for players to go to the caves, because realistically, what were they mining for in the caves? I guess crystals, but they're everywhere all of the time. They're really easy to get. I'm pretty sure in winter they spawn literally everywhere, so that doesn't help anyway. But speaking of crystals, there should be mineable crystals, or at the very least, give us the color crystals, because I know the colored crystals exist. We have like the painted ones, I think, somewhere. I think they're in the library, if I'm not mistaken. There's colored crystals in the game. Just give those to us as an item that we can place on the party island, as well. Just have them kind of spawn in a different section of the cave or something like that. Again, with the cave expansion, you could have an entire section that's like, oh, this is so bizarre, but red crystals grow in this area and green crystals grow over here. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. And then it would kind of even tie in a little bit to My Little Pony, in the sense of, like, in My Little Pony, when Rarity went to the caves, there was always these colorful crystals literally everywhere. I kind of feel like Ponytown was trying to replicate that feeling when they made the caves, and then they just kind of failed at doing it because it was all one color and it stayed the same for way too long. But I digress. Another thing too is, well, with the mineable crystals, you could have like a pickaxe, and then you could like interact with it and it would do something interesting. Maybe you can get like geodes or some other thing like that from the crystals. I really don't know, but I think mineable crystals could be a fun idea. Anyway, statues. I think statues in the caves could be awesome too, because you could have sections of like ruins within the caves themselves when you expand, and there could be statues in these caves, giving players who love to pretend to be statues an excellent place to hang out all the time. I think statues are a long time coming too. This is something people have wanted for a really long time, even if it's as simple as like the most basic ass pony but gray and on a pedestal or something like that. I think people would still go fucking nuts for that. Okay, the last two things on my list I actually did mention. I mentioned the graveyard as an exit or entrance to the caves, as well as the catacomb area. So that's kind of the ideas I have so far for the cave ideas. What I would really love to do, or really have loved to do, is been able to go on to like an event server or something like that and literally just build these ideas from scratch, so I can show you them more visually. But the most bare minimum thing that Ponytown can do is finally give us those stalactites, because it's crazy that we still don't have them. Additionally, we have icicles that hang like pointing down. I think we need some that are on the ground growing up. I know that seems weird, but we need those in form of ice as well. And with the stalactites, I think we need hanging versions of them as well. So take of that what you will. I hope you have listened to this like all the way through. I hope I explained these things well enough for you to understand what I'm hoping for in a cave update. Now, if you have any other cave ideas, please do throw them down in the comments below, because I would love it if you guys shared all of them that we possibly can and pick through some of the best ones and maybe update this video again. I made a video about cave updates ideas a super long time ago, and I think it's time to update that idea list and just kind of go through it again and just remind everyone that we need a cave update because it's been way too long. But anyway, that is it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all of those wonderful things like that. Because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself. And I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.